You've spent years jumping from one diet to the next, losing a few pounds and then gaining them all right back again. You're beginning to think that no diet out there is ever going to work. Long-term weight loss that actually lasts just isn't meant for you. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. You don't need another fad diet or a crazy workout plan. What you do need is to implement the 4 non-negotiables that I'm going to outline in this video, and within the next 12 weeks you could drop 8 to 10 kilos. And if you're wondering why you should listen to what I have to say on the subject, I'm Lauren. I'm a personal trainer and women's strength and fat loss coach, and over the past 4 years I have worked with hundreds of women who, just like you, have been serial yo-yo dieters who are scared to get themselves in the gym. And I've turned each and every one of them into confident lifters who finally understand how fat loss works so they can lose the fat and keep it off for good. Every single one of them was sat right in your shoes before they came to me, hopping from diet to diet, trying this, trying that, and nothing ever seeming to work. Because I am so confident in my approach, I am also giving you 4 weeks of free fat loss coaching to help you lose your first 2 to 4 kilos. You can find the link in the description below. Non-negotiable number 1 is you are going to have to be in a calorie deficit. And if you're sat there thinking, oh, I've tried a calorie deficit and it doesn't work for me, I'm just going to give it to you straight. You weren't in a calorie deficit if you weren't dropping fat. It is scientifically proven the only way that you are ever going to drop fat, and it is the basis of any diet in the history of the world that has ever worked. To drop body fat, you need to be consuming less calories than your body is burning on a daily basis. So how do we actually work out what eating in a deficit is? First, you need to work out your maintenance calories. That is how many calories your body needs to maintain its current weight. And this will be based on a number of factors and will take into account your age, your weight, your height, your activity levels. All of these factors will help contribute to that number. And you can work out what this number is in a number of ways. The easiest way for you to do this is to use an online calorie calculator where you put in all of your details and it will give you that number. Now, this might not be entirely accurate, but it will give you a good guess. And I've linked in the description below one that I often use. If you'd rather not do it that way, you can track everything that you're eating for a week to see how many calories you're eating, and you can also track your scale weight. And if the weight on the scale stays the same over the course of the week, then the likelihood is that you're eating around about your maintenance calories. If your weight goes up over the course of the week, then you're probably eating in a calorie surplus. And if the weight on the scales actually comes down over the course of the week, then you're likely already eating in a slight deficit. Once we've got this maintenance figure, then we can subtract from that to create our deficit. The bigger the number that you subtract from that, the faster the rate of weight loss is going to be, but also probably the harder it's going to be. I would start by subtracting 500 from your maintenance figure and see how you get on. If after a couple of weeks you're actually finding it really easy, then you might be able to increase that deficit. On the other hand, if you're finding it too hard, there is no harm in increasing the number of calories that you're eating, lowering that deficit and having it take a little bit longer, because ultimately in the long run that is going to be more sustainable than you getting 3 weeks down the line, getting so hungry and miserable and then giving up and you're back to square one, as has been the case with every other diet that you've tried, because you can't keep it up. To help you to actually stick to your calories, the second non-negotiable that we're going to introduce is eating adequate protein. You've probably heard this big buzz around protein this, protein that, here, there, and literally everywhere at the moment. And while I don't necessarily agree with a lot of protein products, the principle behind it is absolutely solid. Protein is going to help you feel fuller for longer, which when you're eating in a calorie deficit is really bloody helpful, because you're going to be consuming less energy than your body is burning on a daily basis. Therefore, it stands to reason that you might feel a little bit hungrier than normal. But by making sure that we are eating adequate protein, this will help to mitigate those hunger levels and help you to feel full up between meals so that you stop reaching for that 11 a.m. biscuit jar. Protein is literally what our muscles are made up of. So by eating adequate protein, we're also going to make sure that we are maintaining our lean muscle mass, and the weight that's dropping off is actually fat and not muscle. Because muscle is the thing that is going to give your body that toned, defined look rather than being a bit soft and squishy. As a general rule of thumb, to get an idea of how much protein you should be aiming for, you want to be looking for around about 2 kilos per kilogram of body weight. So for someone that is currently sitting at 70 kilos, you'd be looking at a daily protein target of around about 140 grams. If we're thinking about maintaining that lean muscle mass, then non-negotiable number 3 that we're going to introduce is strength training. Strength training is going to help you to build muscle, and the more muscle that you have, the more calories you're going to burn at rest, aka the faster your metabolism is going to be. So what does strength training really look like? Well, if you're just starting out, I would aim for between 2 to 3 resistance sessions a week, and those sessions don't need to be any more than 45 minutes to an hour. With my 4 weeks of free fat loss coaching, it actually comes with a beginner-friendly 4-week training plan that you can follow, so you know exactly what to do in the gym. Each exercise comes with a link to a video demonstration of what you need to do, so that you're not left second guessing, how do I do it? Don't forget, the link for that is in the description below. The last non-negotiable that we're going to introduce is daily activity. Now, daily activity is going to help you increase your NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And this is all of the energy that you expend outside of exercise. And you can increase this by simply doing more activity. So things like cleaning the house, things like going for a walk, taking the stairs instead of taking the lift or the escalator, parking in the spot furthest away from the shop rather than parking right outside the supermarket door. All of these things will help you to increase your energy expenditure and therefore increase the number of calories that you burn on a daily basis and make a calorie deficit easier. One of the easiest ways that you're going to do this is by implementing a step goal. This does not have to be 10,000. 10,000 is not a magic number, as much as it might be thrown around as such. Start by meeting yourself where you're at. So have a look at how many steps you currently do on average over the course of a week. You might have a smartwatch that tracks them for you. If not, your phone is likely tracking them, even if you don't look at that data at the moment. So have a look, see how many you're doing on average at the moment, and then make an active effort to increase that. Add 1,000, 2,000 to that total, make that your goal. And once you've been successful in hitting that for a few weeks, then you can increase it again. 10,000 isn't a magic number, it's about hitting more than you were doing before. That is still an increase. If you try and go from, say, your average is 3,000 a day at the moment, you try and go from that to 10,000, you're trying to more than triple that overnight. That's a sure way to set yourself up for failure, because you're going to find that very difficult to do. If, however, you take that 3,000 and you add 1,000 to it, and your goal is to now hit 4,000 steps a day, actually, that's a lot more achievable, and you can do that. You tick that off every day for a week, and you're going to feel really good about the fact that you've done it, and that's going to keep motivation high. Whereas you take that 3,000 and then start aiming for 10,000, you might keep that up for 2, maybe 3 days. And then what happens on the 4th day when the shit hits the fan and you can't hit that 10,000, and you then think that you failed, so you give up. You decide it's too hard. That's it. You've had enough. I'm not doing it anymore. Keep it realistic, because you are much more likely to stick to it. So there are the 4 non-negotiables that you need to start dropping body fat. And if you implement those now, in the next 12 weeks, you could well be 8 to 10 kilos down. Don't forget, to help you get started, you can get my 4 free weeks of fat loss coaching in the link in the description below. Thank you for watching. I hope that you have found this super helpful. And if you have, then please don't forget to hit like and hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one.